So, just warning you, this is your typical guy is fat and sad and hates everything about his life and decides to step a foot in the gym and changes his entire life and then decides to start a YouTube channel so he can inspire other people to do the same thing kind of story. I am going to sit here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing on YouTube, but I'm going to tell you my story and how I got started. This is for the kids that are scared of the gym, the ones that were bullied when they were younger, the ones who hate themselves, the ones who feel like never going to be able to change, the ones who just don't feel accepted in the fitness industry. I just want to sit here and tell you how I lost my weight. I think I have a really cool story to tell. I truly pulled myself out of some really dark places in my life and turned it into something beautiful. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like life is perfect, but it's really freaking good. So let me just tell you how I got here. It all started 6 years ago. I was in college. I had a quote, wonderful life on paper, supportive family, not dealing with anything majorly bad in my life, other than the fact that I just was a big boy. I had been tortured all my life in middle school and high school, the big guy, the fat guy, the funny guy, and just people were mean to me. And I internalized pretty much every single thing I heard over the course of those years and just let it convince me that I was worth jack shit. I also was dealing with some undiagnosed mental health stuff, some pretty bad mental health stuff. And as I got further into college, that stuff started creeping up. Not only did I absolutely hate myself and the way I looked, and I was afraid of what people were thinking of me, I also was dealing with some pretty bad depression. Okay. I was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. We'll get there in a minute in this story. But at the time, I just didn't know why I felt so bad. I had these really good days, and then I had these days where I could just barely get out of bed. Let's rewind a little bit. I came out of high school with no skills on how to take care of myself. I was never taught how to work out. My parents actually taught me how to diet. And when I say eat healthy, I mean just like an actual normal pattern of eating. They taught me how to diet at like 10, 12 years old. I was eating fat-free stuff and then the next day eating takeout. And I just was never shown what it's like to be healthy. So I came out of high school at 340 pounds and I started college, and that just became a binge fest when you have like unlimited food in front of you. And it just was an absolute mess. So I got into college a little bit and just was feeling like crap. And it got worse and worse to the point where I was like, why do I even want to be here anymore? Like, I was at such a low place in life when it got really bad that I was done. And I'll spare you all the details on that. It's not something I talk about a lot, like the gory details, but I'm sure you can put together the picture of what that's like and the kind of thoughts that were going through my head. But at some point it got so bad, I actually was trying to go to therapy and trying to be on medications for depression, but nothing worked. It got so bad that I walked into my therapy appointment and said some stuff that when you say that kind of stuff, they lock you up, bro. They take you in. And I was taken into the hospital, not necessarily my choice, but I said some stuff and I ended up there. And I was actually admitted into the hospital for suicidal ideation. And I was just, again, in just a dark place. And that was scary, really scary. And I was just so confused. Like, why do I feel like this? I supposedly have this good life. I mean, I was in the hospital with people that some horrible things had happened to them. And I'm like, why do I feel like this? Like, when there's someone sitting next to me that's been through that, why am I so sad? And eventually, after a week or two, I got somewhat stable enough where I didn't want to, I won't even say it, but I didn't want to do that anymore. And I just got out and they told me I was going to leave. And I was like, I got to do something. Like, even a shred of me had a little bit of hope. I mean, I had lost a lot of my hope, but some of it was still there that life could be better. I knew I wanted it to be better. I just had tried so many times to figure that out and never could. But I was like, something's got to be different. I've got to do something differently. So literally, like the day after I walked out, this was like Christmas time 6 years ago. But the day I walked out, I went straight to the YMCA. That was the only gym that I really knew of, like close to my house. I walked in there. I was like, I'm going to sign up for a membership. I am sick of being fat. I thought that was why I was so sad at the time. I've discovered a lot since then, so stay tuned and I'll get to that part now in a few minutes. But at the same time, like I thought solving my fatness would make me happy. So I did something about it. I got into the YMCA. I signed up for a membership and I saw a paper sitting on the table and it said 8-week weight loss transformation challenge. And granted, this was go ahead, Bo, get down. This was at New Year's time, and New Year, New You, everybody wants to change their life. So they were running like an 8-week fat loss challenge. It was like a competition. How much fat could you lose in a short amount of time? So I was like, hell yeah. I had like $200 in my bank account and it was like 125 or 150. I was like, I got to do fucking something. Here's my money. So I gave him that and I signed up and really all it was just weigh-ins like every single week. Like you met with a trainer, you did a weigh-in. I made friends with one of the trainers and she helped me out a little bit, but it was nothing crazy. But I took that as a sign to just like go for it. For the first time in my life, this is what was different. I had someone seeing what I was doing because I had tried to diet a million times before and since I was 12, but it never really worked. But this time I went to the YMCA, I signed up for this challenge, somebody was weighing me in, and I got on that damn elliptical every single day. And I told myself, I said, this time is different. I'm going to get on here every single day, no matter what. That kept me going. It gave me something to do at the same time, the same place every single day. And eventually I just got into such a good rhythm that was just my thing. And I pounded that elliptical again and again and again for, I want to say I did like an hour or two. And just keep in mind during this story, we're going to get to this part in a couple minutes, but like I didn't necessarily do it in the healthiest of ways because I pounded that elliptical every damn day for an hour or two and basically starved myself. To be honest with you, I went on the keto diet and the keto diet can be pretty strict. I didn't have a bite of bread, sugar, fruit, nothing. I literally just ate meat. And I love meat. Pause. I love meat, but like it just was not the healthiest of things because I also didn't eat a lot. I was eating next to nothing. I dropped weight really fast. I think in that challenge, I got to go look at the numbers, but I think I dropped like 30 pounds in 8 weeks. Like I hammered it and I ended up winning that challenge because it was a competition and go figure the fastest weight loss competition like would motivate me to lose weight as quick as possible, even not in a healthy way. But I ended up winning it and just something kind of just clicked and it just stuck. And I think really just the gym at that point, I hadn't even touched a weight. I was so afraid of the gym. Like even just getting on the elliptical, which thank God it was in like this corner of the gym that, oh, my nipple's going to pop out. Oh, sorry guys. Thank God it was in the corner of the gym where no one really else was. But I was just petrified of that environment. But I was like, you know what? I got to try something. Forget about those sections of the gym. Maybe I'll get there someday. But for now, let's do the elliptical. And I just kept doing it. The challenge ended and I just kept doing it every single damn day, Combine that with not eating a lot of food. And I dropped weight really freaking quickly. And honestly, I did that for 8, 9, 10 months, lost probably anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds at that point, but I felt miserable. And like, yeah, it gave me a place to go and something to get me out of the house, but like, I didn't have a life. That was my entire life. I had dropped out of college to try to get stable. I was put on medication. I was, going to therapy and doing the steps. I was trying to heal from the mental health, stuff, but pretty much all I did for, a 6-month period of time was just try to get stable and try to exercise. And I did. And I kept going and kept going. And I lost a lot of weight, but I ran myself into the absolute ground and I felt freaking miserable. Fast forward a little bit, I decided to enroll in a different school. So I transferred colleges because I just was not okay and I needed to be close to home. So I transferred to a school that I could commute to and live with my parents while I got back on my feet. And I went there and I started going to classes in that fall. So this is like 8 months later. I went to class, went to the gym, and I ended up working at the YMCA. So eventually I was there so much that they're like, you want a job? And I just started working in the fitness center, cleaning machines, working the front desk at some point. That was kind of just my life, like weight loss and YMCA and classes. And that was just what I did again and again and again. And that was literally just my life for the longest time. And yeah, I got a lot of the weight off, but I felt like shit. But there were just so many demons that I did not tackle, and losing weight I realized after I lost a lot of weight that that doesn't solve that stuff. Like I was, lighter and skinnier, but I wasn't necessarily any happier. And eventually, throughout the course of that semester, I just was running myself into the ground. And guess what happened again? I ended up in the hospital again. This time, it wasn't quite as bad, but I knew what to look out for. And I was like, I got to get in there before this gets bad. So I checked myself in this time. And this, I would say, is the major turning point in my entire story is I end up in the hospital again. And this time I said, okay, I again have to do something differently because I went through all this trouble and misery of losing all this weight and I still hate myself and hate my life. So, like, what am I going to do now? So, getting out of that hospitalization, one, at that point, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So, I finally knew what I was up against and what I was working with. And I got on medication and had treatment specifically for that. But I also told myself, I've got to do this in a healthier way because at that point, I had studied nutrition a little bit and had watched a ton of YouTube videos from some of my favorite YouTubers. I had actually spent like hours and hours and hours every single day on YouTube watching obese to beast and fitness transformations. And eventually I learned some stuff and I started learning about the gym a little bit too. And like, I eventually got into the hospital and was like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's maybe try a different way. So that's when I really started working on the nutrition part of it, not doing any kind of crazy crash diets. I was eating less still, a little more than I had been, but not doing keto and all that kind of stuff. But that's the turning point is when I fell in love with the gym, when I first picked up a weight. So again, these YouTubers lifting weights, I was like, okay, cool. I feel a little bit better in this environment because I just kept going. So that's what I recommend to you guys is just keep going and eventually it'll get better. But I was like, fuck it, let's pick up a weight. And I did, and I never looked back. I was super anxious at first. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea, no clue what I was doing, but I tried. And at first, I was really relying a lot on the machines because I find the machines are just kind of self explanatory. They're pretty easy. You just go and it tells you exactly what to do because I didn't know what I was doing. But at some point, as I got more comfortable with machines, I started trying some different stuff. And I started trying a deadlift and I didn't know what I was doing. I fucked up my back a million times. But I kept trying and kept trying. And the first 6 months were probably the hardest part. But then I was like, wait, shit, this is cool. I started getting stronger. My numbers started going up. I tried some different exercises and I learned how to do a bench press. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like I feel strong, not just skinny, but strong. And then I just got hooked. And again, this is the part of the story where I can fast forward through a lot of it because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. But like I got hooked on the gym and never looked back. It gave me a place to take out my anger. I had a lot of pent up rage in there because I'm a happy, lucky, go lucky guy and I don't really get angry, but it was in there. It was in there. It gave me a place to get that out. It gave me a place to go when I was stressed out and I needed some kind of outlet. It gave me all those happiness chemicals that lifting does, and it just gave me my place of peace, my safe space in the world. I shut out the world. I got in the gym, I lifted weights, and I worried about all the other shit later when I left the gym. And I just kept doing that again and again and again. And now this is the part of the story where my body actually started looking like good, I would say. I felt a little better about myself, but like I had lost a ton of weight, had no muscle because I didn't do any lifting, just cardio and starvation. At this point, I started eating a little bit more. I started lifting weights, and this is where I actually started to get kind of strong. And then, I'll put out different videos on like the subsequent years because this is probably 4 years ago now. And there's so much that has happened in the last 4 years. My life has just transformed, getting obsessed with like lifting heavy and powerlifting. I went through a failed bulk where I just got kind of fat again because I was like, I'm going to eat more and put on muscle. But like, I took that a little overboard. And then I was like, I'm going to cut it off. And like, I just went through kind of a journey for a couple years after that. And then got to the point where I went back to school and finished school and finished with highest honors. Like I had a perfect GPA. I was going through some real shit, but I put my head down and I'm very proud of myself that I did that because that was not easy. But I finished school towards the end of it. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I have a biology degree. Okay, that's cool. Like I can go clean like beakers somewhere, or I can do something meaningful. And I thought I wanted to go into med school, and I went through this whole weight loss journey. I was like, you know what? Like, I think it's pretty cool to inspire people. And I watched YouTubers like Obese to Beast, and I was like, let's do that. So I was like, screw it. And I signed up for a personal training certification course, and I started doing that. And I also signed up for a master's degree in business, thinking that that would help me build a business of some sort, like a trading business, even though that literally did not help at all. And I just went to school, did my certification course, started working in a gym, and the rest is freaking history. Honestly, I became obsessed with the gym. I became obsessed with getting other people into the gym and getting them feeling safe like I did over the course of the years of struggle. And I've been a trainer for 3 years now, and I've been able to help hundreds and hundreds, if probably thousands of people at this point, honestly, between all the stuff I did working at gyms in person. And then eventually I transitioned to my own like online stuff and helping people, get started like I did a couple years back with that. And honestly, it's been just a dream. Again, I'll put out more videos about this part of my life, but I love it. I mean, I'm definitely still a little bit fluffy. So I went through like this period of time where like I put on a lot of muscle, and I'm carrying a decent amount of muscle now, and I'm obsessed with the gym, but I've gotten comfortable and in fluffy. So I'm on a cut right now, and I'm doing really good on it, and I'm making a ton of progress. So definitely stay tuned about some cutting videos, and I'll show you how to do it in the right way kind of vibes, not like I did 6 years ago. And I actually am going to put out a video on Instagram, and it's kind of a joke. Like I only got pudgy again so I could show you guys how to lose weight in the right way. That's not what happened. I just got soft. But at the same time, like this gives me the opportunity to show you guys how to do this in a healthy, actual way. So if you want to know how to cut, just keep following my videos and stuff like that. I'll show you how to do it in a fun way. But truly, like my life right now, it has just opened up. So many beautiful people have found their way into my lives. I'm getting married in a couple months. I have this beautiful dog, beautiful family. I feel stable. I feel happy. I feel at peace. I feel confident. I feel strong. There really is no better thing for feeling good about yourself than getting strong. Okay. So I am totally biased. The gym was my place that opened up my entire life, and I wouldn't be here without it. And being here is pretty damn good. So if you're watching this video and you're kind of at this place right now where you're anxious about getting into the gym, just know that, yeah, that's normal. It's an intimidating environment. The fitness industry can be a little toxic. I'm sure your YouTube and reels and all that kind of stuff is filled with a bunch of jack gym bros or girls or whatever, but like you're not alone. If you can just push past this first part of just walking in those doors and just find a way to keep going and keep going, and doesn't matter what you do, just keep going. Eventually you will be in a position like this. And this is why I started this channel. I've been doing social media for a couple years on like reels and stuff like that. I just don't know shit about YouTube because I just want to help people. I want to sit here and chat with you and talk about what it was like when I got started and how I pushed through this anxiety and that anxiety, and just show you that you can do it. You're watching this like I was watching someone 6 years ago. And sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because like it's crazy that I'm in this place where I can be the one that inspires people now. But like you can do it. This can be you. You're just afraid, and you just need to keep fighting. So on that note, fuck, I wasn't planning on crying on video. Just follow. I want to show you how to do it. If you have questions, just send me a DM or whatever. But I appreciate having this opportunity, and I hope to get to know each and every one of you and show you that you can do it. You absolutely can. Oh, I cried on camera.